What up, kids? How's it going? So, today I wanted to give you a little presentation. This is Posadism. It's a little ideology I found a few years ago, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty wacky and insane and schizo. But obviously, I didn't really have anything to do with it back then. I mean, I still really don't. But I figured it'd be fun to post on the channel now. I rediscovered it when I was doing the whole Pokemon Bowl ideology tier list. And I wanted to give it its own special little episode because oh boy, it's so awesome. It's amazing. So yeah, this is Posadism, a silly presentation about the silliest little ideology. Let's get into it. So, to go back to the beginning, you need to understand Karl Marx. Now, Karl Marx really he deserves no introduction. Obviously the big socialist thinker, the big socialist philosopher. Pretty much all like modern leftist ideologies stem from this guy. He said a lot of big things. Obviously, we got a couple of his works here. We got the Communist Manifesto. We got Das Kapital, in which he basically just argued that the best thing well, I don't want to say the best thing, but he argued that the world was a state between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat should seize the means of production. They should rise up against the oppressors, try to create this like communist utopia. Even though I don't think he actually used the words communist and utopia in that. Well, he used the words communist, but he didn't really think of it as a utopia. He just thought it was like the natural order of things, is what people were naturally going to do in an industrial world where they were obviously being mass exploited by these like big capitalists and factories and all these big, bourgeoisie people, as he wrote about. Okay, now obviously these are some pretty big ideas. He's calling for the workers, the oppressed of the system, to kind of rise up and create this socialist state to like literally overthrow their government. That's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal. So does that actually happen? Well, I mean, we know it does happen because we got the Soviet Union, baby. We got communism. It's here. Yeah, in 1922, the Soviet Union is declared. It's created. The Russian peasantry class and worker class comes together to overthrow the Russian monarchy, and it's very chaotic, but there is a lot of hope for Russia. We're establishing these Soviets. We're doing a little bit of democracy. We're trying to end the First World War. There's a lot of problems. And obviously there was that civil war, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I'm sure it'll all go according to plan, right? Like surely nothing will go off course, right? There's a lot of hope. So let's see where things go next. Oh fuck! Oh god! Oh my god! It's all ruined. Okay, so yeah, so it didn't really go that well. In fact, it all kind of crashed and burned. Wow, that oh my god. So yeah, so Stalin, I mean, you know what happens. Stalin comes to power and honestly probably creates one of the worst dictatorships known to man. He like people die. He tries conquering other areas. In fact, there's probably like a probable timeline where the Allies fight the Soviet Union because of how evil they were, but obviously, because of Mustache Man and stuff, that didn't really happen. But yeah, this is terrible. This is like actually like an existential crisis for socialists because now, oh my god, we got like this big like macho man here. We have to do we accept him, or do we resist him? And that's basically going to define the left throughout the 1930s onwards, and we're going to see this international split between the Stalinists and the Trotskyists. So now it's time to introduce a bit of a different concept. So uh, some people obviously they quite enjoyed Stalin, if that was such a thing, or at least they didn't know any other way than Stalin, is maybe what I should say. But obviously, if you're a socialist at the time, and maybe you're stuck in awful working conditions, and like finally you have this socialist state emerge, and then it's just terrible, that might be pretty awful for you, like your worldview. And what you think, like what you actually wanted to happen, got tested and it failed. So maybe now you're probably just a big like doomer about things. You just don't think anything's gonna happen that's good. So with that, we go to accelerationism, a funny little new ideology that's kind of related to this. So accelerationism, if we're just a doomer and we think it's all awful, then what do we do? That means, or at least for some people, for accelerationists, we just want to go like, yeah, things are awful. Things are terrible. There's no saving this. So why don't we just run it into the ground? What we're gonna do is we're just gonna hope that the system keeps going in such a way, and all the bad things in the system just completely bubble up to the point where everything just crashes down to where it's all awful, and then we can restart. And accelerationism isn't necessarily related to socialism or like leftism. It could be anything. There's like anarcho primitivist accelerationist, and you can be like fascist and an accelerationist. But specifically for this video, if you're a leftist, maybe you want to just accelerate the system so bad and make it just so overloaded to where when it crashes in on itself, um, it makes a socialist utopia, you know, because naturally that's definitely what would emerge from the ashes, right? It wouldn't be anything else. And if you're, you know, a Marxist and you're seeing the Soviet Union, you might start to become a bit of an accelerationist because, you know, Stalin, not the best guy. All right, so that's accelerationism. It's certainly something. It's just a big old fun time. So keep in mind, we kind of have our two concepts, right? Of this sort of failing or divided socialist movement and accelerationism, which is just trying to push everything forward all the time. So with that, we go to Jay Posadis, our man of the hour. This is the man which the Posadist movement is based on, and he's very interesting. First of all, this isn't his actual name. J. Posadis, as far as I can tell, doesn't mean anything. I found one source which basically said it meant Juan Posadis, but his full name is that. It's Homero Romulo, whatever the hell. Uh, this guy just seemed like a bit of a cult leader, like kind of a narcissist. He would join the Fourth International, which is basically the big meetup of Trotskyists. When they split from the Stalinists, they formed the Fourth International, which basically is, yo, we're gonna be globalist and we're gonna be anti-Stalinist, but we're still very socialist. Uh, and Juan, Mr. J. Posadas, he really liked that idea, so he joins their movement. And at first, he was working with a lot of the Trotskyist movements in Latin America. He was actually born in Argentina, and pretty much all of this Posadas stuff is actually going to happen mainly in Latin America and a bit of Europe too, but mainly Latin America. So yes, Mr. Posadas, he's working with the Fourth International, trying to organize the labor movements, organize the proletariat. But he starts to come to a lot of disagreements with the leaders at the time, mainly just because he's a narcissist. The first thing he disagreed on was mainly nuclear war, because Posadis, his big thing, this brings in the whole accelerationism, right? That if it's the Cold War and we're in kind of this nuclear arms race where we could be destroyed and, you know, a nuclear holocaust, instead of worrying about that and be like, oh man, this is such a problem, uh, his take is just no, this isn't a bug, this is a feature. We deserve actually to be destroyed in nuclear holocaust, not because we're evil, but because we're good, and inevitably this will create the socialist utopia. Like I was talking about, you know, with the accelerationist stuff, we got to destroy everything. The system is so bad that we need to let everything play out. It'll destroy itself, and then we can come out on top. Now, obviously, the other Fourth International leaders heard this and be like, yo, dude, you're crazy. That's an insane idea. And he basically got kicked out of their movement. However, in response, he would just form his own Fourth International. He just formed basically the Posadist Fourth International. It, he didn't rename it. He didn't add on a five. He was just like, no, I am you. I just am the Fourth International, which is pretty based. So now in our story, we basically have the Posadis breaking free and doing their own thing. They're like now considered official Posadists, if that means anything at all. So going forward, we now have Posadism as an ideology. And what do Posadists believe? What do Posadists believe? Going through my notes here. Well, they have a lot of truly amazing ideas. Obviously, the first one, we're pro-nuclear destruction, as I just talked about. Posadis, he actually wanted the socialist nations to do a first strike on the capitalist ones, just so that they could be like better prepared to kind of destroy the capitalist nuclear capabilities, right? So they can't even fight back. And then he also just opposed like nuclear treaties that were signed too. There was one treaty between the U.S. and the USSR that he just was like straight up protesting against because it, it limited their nuclear capabilities, and obviously that's not accelerating, that's not pushing the system forward, that's not getting us closer to our socialist utopia. We can have nuclear treaties. No, we need like fallout. He was also very tech accelerationist and a transhumanist. Basically, he just wanted socialist nations in particular to invest in space travel and explore the stars. And investing on that further, this is where the whole alien thing comes in, as you can probably tell, because Posadis actually thought that aliens were advanced socialist societies that basically just flew down to Earth to like observe and then left. mainly because we're capitalists or something like that. So truly, he's just an all-around guy. I found some arguments towards this that the alien thing was a smaller part of the ideology, and he didn't believe that that much, but he probably did because he was probably just a narcissist. Like, not gonna lie, he's probably just trying to form a cult. I mean, it really isn't a cult, but it kind of is. Like, let's be real. Oh, and he also believed dolphins could communicate with people. I don't even think telepathically. He just thought if you talk to a dolphin, you'd understand. Hence where the dolphin thing comes in here. So it's truly, it's the most schizo ideology. To recap, we got the nuclear warfare, we got aliens, we got transhumanism, and we got dolphins. So like the 16-year-old high schooler that's like, yo, I'm all this at once. This is like the realized version of that. It's pretty awesome. Now I know what you're thinking, Galaria. This is insane. This is just a schizo ideology. There's no way this is real. And I mean, you're kind of right. It is definitely pretty schizo. But no, this is fully real. There have been real people who have sat around and like debated post-sadist theory. And there have been like functioning post-sadist parties in multiple countries at one point in time. There was a newspaper I found in the UK that was openly post-sadist. I don't know if there still is, but there was at one point like a functioning post-sadist political party in Uruguay. And then I also came across this guy here, Paul Schulz, I think is how you pronounce his name, that was like a full post-sadist UFOologist. Because once again, that's their big thing. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention too, a big cohort of them actually helped fight alongside Castro's Cuba. And part of the reason maybe Castro went into power was because of these guys. He later would purge all of them because, Castro. But that's wild. That's a wild thing I found. Like, what the heck? So that's basically post-sadism. Bit of a shorter one today. But what's the big takeaway from all this? What's the moral of this story about our kind of rise into Marxism and socialism, the fall of Stalinism, and maybe the glitter of hope and accelerationism and post-sadism. Where do we go from here? Well, I'm here to say we got to keep going. We got to keep accelerating. And you know what? They may have failed in Germany and Uruguay, but we can do it better. We can do it better. I am calling for a new political party, the post-sadist political party in America, that we can use to push post-sadist theory. And I think I'm aiming for 2032. Obviously, I don't get me wrong, I would like 2028, but I think it's gonna take some time. You got to get all these centrists on our bandwagon, But we're not a bandwagon. No, we're the truth, really. I think we can, in the next 6 or so years, hopefully less than then, we can have a full post-sadist sweep almost. Uh, as the country realizes how amazing this ideology is, and then I mean, we're golden, really. We can form our own post-sadist dictatorship or republic. We can form our own post-sadist state, and we'll do so many cool things. I mean, we're the United States. We already have access to the nuclear technology, right? So we can just blast them out at everyone. We can like make big telescopes, see if we can contact any aliens. I'm sure they'll come down now that we're like socialist and post-sadist, right? And maybe even talk to some dolphins while we're at it. Like, the possibilities are endless.